Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? I hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, right here, right now, in the Kilt Mansion quarter of the Wirral Peninsula, it is blazing sunshine. It is super warm, it is super lovely, it is super bright. Not exactly conducive to a conversation about Nosferatu, who famously shuns the sunlight, turns him into a cloud of dust, and it's the end of Orlok. But we all know great vampires never die. And indeed, Orlock lives. He lives still, despite the caterwauling cackle of a magpie out there. Can you hear that? Oh, the bestiary and the aviary in the Celtic grounds knows no bounds, and we wake up to this every morning at 5 o'clock now. The magpies are giving it loads. It used to be all the pigeons and the seagulls and the sparrows and the thrushes and all that kind of stuff, but now the magpies have taken over. Very, very akin to vampirism arriving in a small German town and taking over via the means of little rodenty fangs and a multitude of bubonic plague carrying rodents, which of course is the story of 1922's fabulous masterpiece Nosferatu. A film I have talked about a lot. Most recently, of course, because I've been helping to promote Christopher Young, the great film composer Christopher Young's score for Nosferatu, which he did last year for the film's just over its centenary premiere, and with a live orchestra at the Zurich Town Hall, I think it was called, they premiered Nosferatu all over again, and the score brought the house down. So everyone, score aficionados and just movie fans alike, clamoured, we must get this score released. Don't just leave it as a one-off experience for all of us lucky people who got there. We want it available for the masses. So a Kickstarter campaign was unleashed, and yours truly took part in it and helped the launch and promoted it throughout. And the good news is, it worked. The CD is coming out, I believe, later in the year. I need more information on that. No hard and fast dates have been supplied to me as yet. But you are hearing Chris Young's score for the otherwise silent movie Nosferatu. F W Murnau, Albert Grau, 1922. Now, what we're going to talk about here is this book, this splendid little tome here. Some would call it a fanzine. It's a bit nicer than a fanzine, I think. And this came into my hands via our good friend on the Emerald Isle. Yes, you know him, you love him. It's Cap'n Ronnie. Cap'n Ronnie took time out from shark fishing to send me this. And another little thing that sits alongside it, which I'll show you as well. And what this is, Orlock Lives, 100 Years of Nosferatu. There you go. And there is a picture of Max Schreck in the full makeup. There he is, resplendent. His pointy ears, his pointy nose, his pointy teeth, his baldy pate, his rat-like cadaverish visage. He's the genuine stuff of nightmare. This book here, edited, but it's actually by Jake Parappa Hainey, who is from Glasgow. Now, I don't know if he actually is Glaswegian. I'm assuming he is, but either way, he's from Glasgow, and that's great. So, a Glaswegian who's into Nosferatu and all things dark and satanic and weird. I drink to you, sir. There you go. Slanted. And as Stewie Adamson would say, Shia! Now, what he's done, I'll read the back of this. In 1922, the film Nosferatu, Ein Symphonie des Grauens, Symphony of Terror, was released and has been terrifying audiences ever since. The film would survive producer bankruptcy, legal claims, and court-mandated destruction, and is now considered one of the greatest films of all time. Of course, it was an unofficial adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. I mean, we know all this. Now, Florence, Bram's widow, found out about it, and said, no, we must destroy every print. We must take them to court. We must stake the filmmakers through the heart. And yeah, every effort was made to do so. And understandably so. It was unlicensed. They had no right to do it. They changed a few names, a few locations, but it was, to all intents and purposes, Dracula. But we're lucky, a couple of prints survived. So which is why we've still got the movie just over 100 years later. And it's had so many revivals, a couple of remakes, one forthcoming, of course. Robert Eggers, at the end of this year, 2024, will release his version of Nosferatu. And we can't wait for that. Bill Skarsgård playing Count Graf Orlok himself, the renamed from Dracula. Now, to mark 100 years since the film's release, over 40 artists from around the globe have chanted the ancient rites and resurrected Orlok from the tomb once again in this horrifying tribute to cinema's first vampire. So what you have in here, after a lovely introduction by Jake Parappa Hainey. I'm going to say I love that middle name, Parappa, because I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. It reminds me of what is it? The little drummer, the Christmas song. Come, they told me, Parappa pam pam. Forgive me, please, for I know not what I do. And he's a bit of an artist himself, from what I can gather, and he has done his own little addition. There's Max Schreck, famously heralded in the coffin-shaped doorway. Those hands, those claws, and those Mickey Mouse ears. That's something we didn't remember. And he signed it there. By the way, Cap'n Ronnie didn't send me his only copy. He bought himself one as well, and then thought, oh, you're going to like this, I'm going to send you one as well. And he was right. Cheers, Cap'n Ron. So you get an introduction. And then we go into, well, I'm not going to show you all of this because, you know, this is still available as far as I know. So you're going to want this. If you're a fan of Nosferatu, you're going to want this. So we go into like these various artists from around the globe. 40 different artists come together and contributed stuff to this. So you get like lovely, the ring lights pinging it out, but I'll try and find the angles. So you get little cartoon strips with, there's a very dynamic Nosferatu flying at his victims there, literally flying at them. In his frock coat as well. Single page bits of artwork, very sinister, very gothic. Jokey ones, it's his 100th birthday, because Jake was putting this together for the centenary, which would be 2022, obviously, and now we're in 2024. So it's been out for a while, this. And hopefully, I'm saying hopefully, it's still available. Well, obviously, Cap'n Ronnie got hold of a couple of copies, so hopefully it's still there. So you've got so much of very abstract and jokey, and, well, there's a modern take, I suppose. For a second there, I thought that was Ripley. I don't know why. I thought that was Ripley. I mean, she's faced just as terrifying creatures from outer space. The vampire probably poses no threat to her. A nice little sort of, almost like cityscape cutout with silhouettes all across it, which you see in the movie as well. A couple of characters from the film there. Brilliant. Great depiction, that is actually. Another jokey Nosferatu. Yeah! Ha ha ha! Yeah! Nosferatu controlling his rat infestation. And you have a great little, do you remember in the 80s, well, maybe some of you might not actually, but in comics and magazines, there'd be photo strip stories sometimes. So you'd have little, well, black and white usually, but sometimes colour. And it'd be like done like a comic page, but they'd actually be photos with thought bubbles and dialogue bubbles and little block descriptions, but in a photo comic style. And here's one there. You probably can't see that too well. Famous shot there, of course. So they're actually shots from the movie with their own little bits of dialogue and, well, descriptive prose. I'm not going to show you all this because, you know, that would be cheating, wouldn't it? Oh, that one's great. You really should see this one. Oh, you'll have to buy it first though, won't you? Quick bite. That's actually quite good artwork as well. But you've got more enigmatic one-page takes like this. And it goes on. And oh, there's, you know, the captain of the, well, we know it as the Demeter, but it's actually in the film, it's the Empusa. Now, here's the thing about the changing names and stuff. In the script for F W Murnau's and Albert Grau's Nosferatu, the ship that transports Graf Orlok, Dracula, from his castle to, well, Britain, Viborg, Germany, is called the Demeter. But in the script for Nosferatu originally, 1922, it's called the Demeter, and you're meant to linger on a shot showing its name on the side of the ship. Only they changed it at the last minute, seemingly, to the Empusa. Now, the Empusa is a Greek term, and don't you believe it when people say, like, oh, it means she-vampire, because I've seen that written a lot. It doesn't. The Empusa is a female phantom, which in Greek mythology, it would taunt and play mischief with the souls that are going across the river Styx into the underworld. It would just, even dying in Greek mythology, you're still going to be harassed, you know. So the Empusa would do that. So in the film, it's called the Empusa. And of course, the captain lashes himself to the wheel. You can barely see that, can you? I do apologise. But if I turn the ring lights off, we'll just be submerged in pure Nosferatu gothic shadows, which would be very apt, but you're going to see sod all. And I wouldn't be able to find me a bottle of whiskey. Although with my bat-like sonar and radar sensibilities, I'd find it. Cheers, y'all. Cheers, Jake. Cheers, Cap'n Ron. But I'll show you a few more bits from this. I love anyone that has the passion for this kind of project and a passion for a movie, albeit whatever, a stage show, a musical, a book, a poem, anyone that has massive, I don't know, unencumbered enthusiasm and admiration for something and then portrays it via means like this or their own fan-made movies. I love it, I applaud it. I mean, in a way, that's all I'm doing with this channel. The things I know and love, I go on about all the time. And Nosferatu has been one of those of late, has it not? There's a nice one in the shadows there. Yeah, look at that. Another comic strip there. Another, the face of the window, of course, and this silhouette there. So some people are doing like sort of like their own sort of jokey take on it. Some people are doing a comic strip, telling their own little story, a side slant, a more futuristic take on it, or a more modern day take. And some are doing what would be their version of a poster celebrating the centenary. And you do get some prose as well. Trust me, there's words there, lots of words. This is called Prowler by Lou Kurtz, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Some more artwork, of course, the classic moments. Well, that's another classic moment. They're all classic moments. Nosferatu is a film of innovation. It's a film that was a game changer when there was no one had made the game yet. The genre hadn't been created. It would evolve from this point onwards because Nosferatu actually set the founding stones for the horror genre and the gothic sensibilities. German Expressionism had been rife for a while, but of course with this and the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, again I've discussed that a lot lately, revolutionised people's ideas and became a hugely stylised imprint on the psyche of audience goers. And well, audiences, not audience goers, but although sometimes in some screenings you do get a few goers in the audience. And as Jake says, there were some versions of Nosferatu with some softcore porn thrown in as well. Oh yeah, imagine that. I love that one. Orlok's castle is up there, and he's got his beady eye on you there. And down here is the jackal. Oh, it's a hyena. It's a hyena. Again, in Bela Lugosi's 1931 version, the Todd Browning, you have armadillos marauding about in the crypts and the tombs. But a throwaway line about a werewolf being out there from the innkeeper to Hutter is actually, well, they have to downscale it and he becomes a hyena there, which you see in the movie, of course. Another cartoon comic strip. The artwork is very, very good in some of these. It's highly stylized in other ones. I'm not saying that we're not knocking any. Knock, of course, in Nosferatu is the Renfield character. And hello. Yes. Me likey indeed. Another Nosferatu poster there. And we get Nosferatu's shadow here, another prose piece. We've got Nosferatu on the phone because he's obtained himself a mirror, and I've got to send this back. Why? Well, I can't. I've got no use for it really, have I? I can't look in the bloody mirror, can I? Another one of the iconic images up the stairway. Yeah. Don't know if you can see that. Let's try and angle this. Put it this way. It's a female Nosferatu, a Nosferatette, in almost like Cenobite gear as well. The comic strip. Another great take on a poster. Yeah. A poem. It's called Hangnail. Again, you can't see it because the white pages are really playing havoc with the ring light. Again, light. There's the thing. It's only Nosferatu that brought to vampire lore that sunlight will destroy the vampire. Bram Stoker never wrote that. It is certainly not in any vampiric lore from the ancient times up until modern day. It's only cinematic stuff that brought that in, that idea, and it was Nosferatu that did it. So he can walk about in the sunlight, it's just his power's a bit more depleted, you know? As in Dracula or any vampire. Happy birthday, Orlok! You can't see it, it's there. Big birthday cake, a lot of ghouls and creatures, and Orlok is actually in the doorway there. All my friends, how thoughtful of them. What a feast they will make. You can't help but give it Bela Lugosi's accent though, can you? You know, there's a more bestial version. He's going for the throat there, like Nosferatu, 100 Years of Flying. And there's a great one there. It's almost like a highly stylized, almost religio aesthetic of Batman flying across Gotham. And of course, Batman is very highly tied in with the gothic, bats, obviously, and vampirism. And I do have one of those Elsewhere comic books of Batman versus Nosferatu, and it's pretty damn good as well. Or Nosferatu. Oh, yeah. What else do we have? There's a highly stylized comic strip version. Pictures with unencumbered by the intrusion of dialogue or description in the picture itself. He is there. He is the nightmare I will have for 100 years and more. The end. There he is. Pestilence. Flies all over him by the looks of things as well. A collage. Imagery from the movie. It's when he realises the cock has crowed. Oh shit. Ellen Hutter has kept him there. She sacrificed herself to kill him by keeping him in her boudoir. Wonderful imagery, isn't it? In fact, that one there, that's Rambo. It's after 100 years, he's back, and payback is going to be a real pain in the neck. And he's carrying like a coffin rocket launcher. And he's got a bandana on as well. Don't know if you can see that. Nosferatu. It is a sequel. That's genius. All the contributors are listed as well in the back here. All the contributors. And you get, well, some final imagery from the movie itself. And a little hurrah from the man himself. And that's done in like a sort of like very proto computer graphic from the video games. Don't know if you can see that. Oh, little digital, you know, stuff. It's a great book. It is a huge celebration of Nosferatu. Just done by a lot of people who've gone like, I love this movie, so I can draw, I can write, I'm gonna throw something into this. And we get this wonderful little, you know, great tribute to a masterpiece of a horror. So innovative in its visual style. The iris is in, the iris is out, the fast motion, the sepia tinted, well, the different coloured tints to the movie, the highly stylized artistic design of the film, and the sheer horrific makeup that Max Schreck was under. Oh my God. And of course it became iconic. Barlow, of course, over there from Salem's Lot. The vampires from The Strain, from Blade 2. The vampires from Blade 2, they're all baldy, pointy-eared and big. Well, their mouths kind of go, rah, a big thing like that. Which is heavily rife, wasn't it? The late 90s into the early 2000s, every single monster had to have a huge mouth that would just CGI enlarge itself to devour sperm whales. Now, there's something else. He says, having misplaced his bottle of whiskey, again, cheers y'all. And yeah, I know. Not much left of the lifeblood there, is there? I'll sort that, don't worry. Not only did I get that book sent from Cap'n Ronnie, but there was this as well, which says NosfeRemix. NosfeRemix. And this is again, it's by Jake Parappa Hainey, who did this, put that together. And this is his take on Nosferatu and why it means so much to him. Now, I presume you get this when you buy that, I presume. But in it, he's broke it down. There's imagery from the movie in there. This is just a little pamphlet, really, I suppose. And he won't mind me saying, you know, such is the way of these things, there are some typos and a couple of words may be repeated and one may be missed out as well. But it really doesn't matter. It's a labour of love that he's done, and that shines through. And it tells you all about his love, his fascination, his obsession with this movie, and his determination to get every single version of it that's out there. And there are a lot of versions, because you get them with different soundtracks, you get them with different colours, different restorations. I say colours because they do recolour these movies, and a couple where they put extra scenes have gone into them, like the softcore porn versions. And it goes on about the merchandise and how the longevity of the movie, and you know how it's reached those big spidery fingernails into every aspect of our cultural idiom, because Nosferatu is everywhere. I think I'll read the back out, which is part of the introduction as well. Nosferatu, for decades the film has been remixed, re-edited and rescored by artists ranging from the full orchestras to garage punk bands. Some take the film in whole new directions. One edition has been remastered. Oh God. One edition has been re-rendered in 3D. One includes a voiceover. One even has newly filmed scenes of softcore porn, in case you needed that. Not only that, but the film has been adapted into novels, comics and stage plays. The character of Count Orlok is now an action figure bespoke jewellery, a wall clock, a shower curtain, etc. Scenes from the film have been used in SpongeBob SquarePants, and the visual of the rat-like bald-headed vampire with bad teeth, popularised by Shrek, has been used as a basis for the creatures in Salem's Lot, The Strain, and What We Do in the Shadows, to name but a few. The film has grown beyond its humble origins and become not just an inspiration but a tool, something for artists to mould and reshape to fit their needs. Could there be something in the film DNA that makes it especially relevant as a piece to remix? Maybe. After all, the original film itself is a remix. He's dead right. Dead right. And I do like what he's written. He goes into it quite in depth. He deconstructs it and then reconstructs it, which is the whole mythos behind Nosferatu as a film and a cultural icon being readapted, remodified and revisited all the time. So that's a great little addition to Orlock Lives, because it gives Jake's perspective on why he's done what he did, and it's a labour of love, and it comes across that well. Now, my own take on Nosferatu, and I've said it many times, and I'll say it once again, because why the hell not? But I'll have some of this first. You don't mind, do you? There are a few films, horror films especially, which have an otherworldly quality, a supernatural quality, which bleeds off the screen, no matter what. If you're watching it on a cinema, you're watching it on your own TV, you're watching it on your phone or your tablet, whatever you're doing, it has an atmosphere, an aura which bleeds out and infects you. Only a handful of films do this. For me, the likes of Night of the Living Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Predominantly, the film that does it most of all is Suspiria, Dario Argento's Suspiria, a cult masterpiece. Again, a film I've waxed lyrical about so oft. There's something about these films where the shocks within them might not be that horrific, might not be that jolting. They could be. Texas Chainsaw and Suspiria, certainly, but other films maybe not so. But there is a quality to them which comes out and it gets into you and you can't take your eyes off the screen. A supernatural, I don't know, I don't want to use the word evil, I don't think it's that. It's something just beyond our ken. It just bleeds and permeates into us by some kind of cinematic osmosis. It won't leave you afterwards. You genuinely feel you've been transported to another realm, another place, another time, and you've gone through this odyssey, this adventure with the protagonists, and you've experienced everything they've gone through, but you've also had your own experience as well. Well, Nosferatu, 1922, very, very definitely has that in abundance. The sheer style of photography, the filming techniques, the performances, this sort of ghostly fairy tale like quality that it has just elevates the film and it brings you in and then it spits you back out again, but it has infected you at the same time and you'll carry it with you, forevermore. It works its own peculiar black magic, and I love that. Not filmmakers don't try to do this. If they did, they would fail. It's alchemy. No matter how much you try, no matter how much incantations and rituals and spells that you recite, it doesn't guarantee success. It's a lightning in a bottle conglomeration of lots of elements coming together and really working. For Nosferatu, it's the fact that it had never been done before. Never. The filming techniques had not been done before. That style of makeup had not been seen before. Those performances and that gravitas haven't been done. And it's born out of nicking someone else's story. And I like that as well. There's an illicit quality. It's contraband. It's bootlegged, and it's kind of wrong in so many ways. But all those ways conspire to make a masterpiece that genuinely has this sinister aura and atmosphere about it, which will drift, like wisps of smoke off the screen and will infect and get into every pore of your existence. That's why Nosferatu still exists today and is still revered. That's why Christopher Young was approached, can you do a score for this? Yeah, and it'll be my zeitgeist, my masterpiece, my magnum opus. And for many people, it has proved to be so. It's been cited many times. I think this score is absolutely incredible. You are hearing it now, as I say, and it fits the film perfectly. I am lucky enough to have the full score that he did for Nosferatu, and I have managed to play it alongside watching the film, and my God, it genuinely works. There are many other scores which have been put forward for Nosferatu which have not fared so well. Jake mentions the punk bands and stuff and it's been very, very much darker and weird and just avant-garde stuff, but I admire that. Bands, artists, musicians this is what I get from watching Nosferatu, and I put it out there the only way that I can creatively, extol it. Who's to argue? Everything's open for interpretation. At least creatives are doing this sort of thing and keeping the film totally alive. But I think, as I said before, I think the film lives way beyond our obsession and adoration with it. I think there's a magic to Nosferatu which cannot be denied. Because even when new generations discover it, like younger kids who watch things like Blade, for example, and watch anything fast motion stuff these days, fast motion, you know what I mean, pure CGI fests, and then they go back and watch, they go, what? Very few go, oh, this is crap, look, the speeded up motion, they get drawn in, they get hooked on the imagery and the sheer mood and atmosphere that this film provides and puts out there. It is like a mist which envelops you. You put the film on and you are sucked in completely. And the film ends with supposedly, he gets destroyed, but so does Hutter's wife, Ellen, who sacrificed herself. And that lingers. That's the whole thing. The tragedy of it all lingers. Dracula doesn't quite do that, Dracula has a lot of other elements to it, the whole big chase at the end, got to beat the sunset and all that, and kill him while we can. And poor Quincy P. Morris, with that great big Bowie knife of his. No. I love many versions of Dracula and the oft retellings and adaptations and remixes. But Nosferatu really, really works in its own spellbinding way. Without a doubt, I love Todd Browning's very stage-bound, very theatrical, very staid and very talky and slow version. But you had Bela Lugosi, and regular viewers know how over the years I've banged on about the hangdog of Hollywood, universal horror, always in the shadow of Boris Karloff. But Bela Lugosi, he came a cropper, and he made some wrong decisions, but my God, he was a presence, and magnificent as Dracula. Now, I will be honest and say that the Spanish version shot concurrently with Todd Browning's version, which was often the case for films in this particular period, using the same sets but filmed far better with an entirely different cast, and it's a longer movie as well, and it's a better film. It's technically superior in every single way, but it does not have Bela Lugosi's performance in there. Carlos Villegas, I've probably got that wrong. I always get that name wrong, Carlos Villegas playing Dracula. He grins, like the Joker, and he's not threatening. You don't get that aristocratic nobleman, but also a predator, a suave, sophisticated, seductive predator. that exotic quality. You don't get it from him, but you do get it from Bela Lugosi. Vastly different from Bram Stoker, of course, and obviously Nosferatu, different again. But Nosferatu is the repellent, horrible, bastard creature of the night, and his imagery, his sheer bizarre, otherworldly quality, with his nightcap on, and he's not completely bald. He does have some hair around here, and he's got the big bushy eyebrows, something you've not got, sir. He's got the big bushy eyebrows, but his cadaverous look and those rodent teeth and those hands, and just that frock coat as well, which I've got a good approximation of that frock coat, which I do love. Pure goth, it's great. But his characterization of what is an Elseworlds, think of Batman and the Elseworlds comics, an Elseworlds version of Dracula. Like, this is like, Dracula could have been this, but no. This guy's not quite the nobleman that you think he is. He is. Orlok has a history. He definitely has all of that going on, which is alluded to. But I think, like, Albert Grau, who produced the movie, was heavily into the occult and arcane rituals, incantations and spells, amulets, the whole works. And think of the Great Beast, and he's akin to that a little bit. Did he put some bizarre spell upon this movie to make it last over 100 years and still be capturing everyone's imagination and still making people inspired and obsessive? If that is Nosferatu's legacy, then there are legions of his almost cult-like devotees, his disciples, who are out there applying more mystery and magic via books, fan-made movies, proper movies, Robert Eggers, music, Christopher Young, and of course all of this stuff as well, artwork and fabulous bits of storytelling. Nosferatu's never going to die, and indeed Orlock lives. Orlock lives. So please, folks, no. It's a great little endeavour from someone who's just toiling away and had a great idea. I'm going to put my love of this movie out there. See who bites. Cap'n Ronnie bit. Then he bit me with it as well. No, Jake, well done, sir, well done. I applaud that, it's fantastic. And yeah, get in touch, mate, get in touch. I did try to get in touch with you via Messenger, in fact, to see if this was still available, to make sure, because we weren't sure at first if it was still available or not, but it appears that it is. So I'll put the link below in the description, so obviously people get your orders in. It doesn't cost much, so cheers, y'all. But yeah, Nosferatu is immortal. More people think of elements of Nosferatu than they do of Dracula, because the whole sunlight thing, as I said before, which I think Jake goes on about as well, the whole sunlight thing, it's that film that brought it in. It wasn't in Bram Stoker, and it wasn't in the vampiric lore, which, as Jake, with the vampiric lore, there's not a great deal to it. They are ghouls, they are bloodsuckers. Sheridan Le Fanu rewrote that folkloric stuff with his Camilla Karnstein books. And Hammer then obviously took that and rode with it. And who wouldn't? It brought in a lot of lesbianism. And that's never a bad thing. Kilt-Man behave. But Nosferatu reshaped what we think about vampires. In many ways, like Kurt Siodmak and George Wagner with The Wolfman, 1941. The Wolfman, yes! Yes, I had to bring The Wolfman in. Come on! The Wolfman's my favourite monster of all time. And they brought in the whole thing about silver bullets and full moons. Well, that's not lycanthropy in the folklore from every continent in the world, same as vampirism. Every continent on the world, every country, every culture has their own version of vampires and werewolves, shapeshifters. And no one ever brought in the connection to the full moon or silver bullets. That was done by Hollywood. And yet now we all think of it. It's got to kill by a silver bullet. It's got to. Only Transformer is a full moon. I mean, it makes for good stories, obviously, but but it's not right. Says the guy that because werewolves really exist, don't they? Yes, they do. They prowl regularly in the grounds of Kilt Mansion. They're a pain in the arse. They really are, because they're shitting all over the gardens, and like a thing that big, it eats big, and then before it transforms into a human, it squats down and. No one ever puts that in their werewolf movies, do they? No, they do not. No, they don't. You eat, it's got to come out the other end, hasn't it? Same as zombies. The zombie movies. I love the zombie movies. And again, George Romero changed what zombies were. So vampires, werewolves, zombies have all been massively moved down different avenues from what they were originally perceived to be by folklore and religion. A myth to something bigger, better, more exciting. But a zombie, it's got to eat. Why? Well, if you're going to chow down and it's going to go into you, well, what's going to happen to it? Well, if you're dead, no muscles are working, but we know that their muscles are working. They are reanimated. So some kind of process is taking place. Do they ever shit as well? Or does it just build up and they just pop? I don't know. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Zombies, the George Romero zombies, they're dead. They're all messed up. Listen, and no one loves the Romero zombies more than me, and you know this. Zombies, if you get shot and there's blood flying out of you, and you've been dead for a while, blood is still clearly moving around your veins, pumped by arteries, pumped by your heart. Heart's beating. Yeah, okay, heart's beating. To make the heart beat, you need oxygen, so you're breathing. So if you're breathing and your heart's beating, you're not dead. Dead. Who cares? I fucking love zombie movies. Of course I do. And we've got a few more on the horizon. And as I say, we have another Nosferatu movie coming at the end of this year, Robert Eggers, and that will be dazzling, folks, dazzling. People who have they've seen the film at its current version. And even a few months ago were saying, this is electrifying stuff. He's captured Murnau's Nosferatu, but he's added more to it, but kept the spirit. He hasn't rampaged all over it and done something different, which, to be honest, how can you? Murnau's version actually rampaged all over Bram Stoker's version, did its own thing. So you can't knock a film. I'm forever despising remakes, reboots, sequels, sidequels, prequels, all that kind of thing. Which is that, like Nosferatu, they never die. All the reboots will just go on forevermore. But you can't knock a film which is taking its own adaptation of a film which was a knockoff, illegal version of someone's original stuff. You can't knock it, can you? But all the silent movies are all they're copyright free now. They're public domain. So you'll see a lot more of this stuff coming out. I'm sure you will. And in a way, it's a good thing, because people are going to rediscover the expressionism, the style, the power, the man who laughs. So many great silent movies. Metropolis, a towering achievement of science fiction and fantasy, which of course has influenced so many movies. and will continue to do so, but no one's attempted to remake it other than Queen, the band Queen. But so I'm not saying it's a bad thing. All of these silent movies can, because of the virtue of the fact that they're silent, you can do a talky version. I know I sound like I'm contradicting myself. Oh, you don't like remakes and that. Well, I think you can do it. Films that old can be redone with respect, faithfulness, but bringing it to an audience that might not be as perceptive to, oh, I'm not going to watch something from the 1920s. Oh, screw that. No. I don't even watch films from the 70s. If you don't watch films from the 70s or the 80s, God help you, because I won't. Cheers, y'all. But once again, folks, Orlock Lives. Jake Parappa. So there's his little essays on why he loves Nosferatu and what it's done for culture and movies and why it's so prevalent and still so alive. And there's all the contributors who've done their comic strips and their little prose and essays. Fantastic. Look, it's iconic, isn't it? I'm weirdly sandwiched between this cadaverous, rat-faced bastard. But we loves him, we does, don't we? Folks, I have been, always shall be, Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, in this ever avoid the sunshine in between time, please keep it kilted, keep it Celtic. And I'm going to renege on what I just said because the sun is binging out there and I want to get this off and thrust my flesh, my non-vampiric flesh, to the sun. So it should be alright, methinks. Until the next full moon. Folks, please seek it out and enjoy. New Nosferatu movie, end of the year. And Chris Young's score. Beautiful, eloquent, rhapsodic, brooding, dark, intense, exciting, and very, very mystical and supernatural, and all round beautiful score will be coming out as well. Probably in conjunction with Robert Eggers' movie. That would be nice and poetic, wouldn't it, I suppose? Right, folks, I'm out of here. I've got some necks to nibble on.